Welcome into another episode of Who Should You Choose, the video series where I go through the prior videos, questions, and comments and help you with your hot lineup decisions and discuss really all things hockey, including the video game, obviously. If you want your question answered in the next video, just subscribe with notifications on, get your question in, and if I don't get to your question and you need some help, I'm always live on Twitch, twitch.tv/nosleeves12. The link is down below. At around 2 p.m. Eastern time, I'm happy to answer your question live in person. So let's get into today's questions and comments. And I do these videos quite often, I will say, and I don't know if people are over them, like my subscribers. You don't watch them if you don't like me going on the rants about certain topics, because I use these videos kind of as like my own personal like little mini podcast. But we'll see, as my dog is losing her mind up there. So first question or comment is Creamy Wheat says, does Morgan Riley get an enforcer card just for fun? So I did throw in there my take on the Morgan Riley and Ridley Greig situation, which I can't wait. They're partnered with the NHL, and the NHL will allow it. Sadly, he actually gets suspended. No way that response is more. So okay, I feel like this is how a lot of this is going to go. Does he get an enforcer card just for fun? If EA was fun, they are partnered with the NHLPA, so they don't want. They will never promote that kind of stuff. So I would assume not, because obviously he's got suspended or about to. He's got an in-person hearing, so he's going to get at least 6 games, which I think is accurate, as he should. I think a lot of people were. I tweeted out. It blows me away that people are stunned that there's a reaction to what Greg did. I thought what Greg did was hilarious, and it's more of a F around and find out situation. Both things can be true. I think what Ridley Greig did deserved a reaction. I think the reaction was over the top, but what Riley did, should have went, in hindsight, should have went and started a fight. But nonetheless, it is what it is. He's going to get suspended, as he should, and both things can be true. Hey, Sleeves, need help here with my lineup. I currently have Chara, Heiskanen, and 91 untradeable Hedman on left defense. Do I sell Chara to slot in fantasy Price, where he's 94 now, or just wait for the Price, where Price is small and hold and has bad endurance? Out of those options, Chara, Heiskanen is very good still. Chara you can get like $500K for. So if he's tradable, then yeah, I'd probably sell him. Come on, Sleeves. Do a little dance. I know you want to revamp squad battles, but us gamers that play it for many reasons. Number 1, play at our own pace. Number 2, have a choice to take our team online. In my opinion, if anything needs a revamp, it's Action S. This is, again, talking about my ideas for squad battles. I still don't know how, maybe I'm not explaining it correct, but I don't know how you would want it to stay the same. I'm not going to go over my entire thing for squad battles. I've done it 3 videos in a row, but there's no reason why you wouldn't be able to do it at your own pace and have a choice to take our team online. I don't know what that means. I don't know how my idea would not allow for that as well. Hey, Slaves, to follow up my question yesterday about cycling the puck, I wanted to give you some context. I just got into Division 2 and between 11 to 12 wins in Hut Champs. I've been running behind the net, but been struggling against Division 2 opponents in the offensive zone. What strategy do you think is better for Division 2? Any more tips for doing well in Division 2? So, in my opinion, I think Overload is better for Division 1 and 2. It's what I run. I think behind the net is better for the lower divisions. The reason why I think Overload allows is there's a couple set plays that will allow you some goals that will go in using the Overload. So again, all of my YouTube shorts, you guys can go watch. I have a lot of tips on scoring off of the Overload. But one would be going, so the overloaded side, you got 3 guys on the board. So let's say it's on the left side. You get back to the defenseman. You go back to your far side defenseman who's at the point. That winger that's up high, you can wait for him to be in front of the defenseman. And when you send it down to him, if he's on his offhand, meaning righties on the left and lefties on the right, all you've got to do is shoot low far side. Like, that's an example of using that. I just think that Overload is a better play when it comes to the high-end gameplay. Other than that, like, you have to, the way that it's built now, you have to not rag, but it's such a blanket thing to be like, you got an ozone rag, which is holding onto the puck in the offensive zone, just passing it around and running away from people to get the pressure system. You've got to hold on to the puck and be okay and be patient. I think patience is the thing that separates the 12 wins from the 15 wins. I think a lot of the time, your AI will not get open. They will not fight to get open in the offensive zone when you cycle. So what happens is you'll take a player and you'll run around the offensive zone with the puck. Okay, you'll make a couple passes quickly because you feel like you have to be moving. The problem is because your AI doesn't fight to get open, your opponent really doesn't have to do anything for them to cause an interception or anything like that because their AI will just bump them off the puck. So holding onto the puck and waiting for your opponent to move first before you move with the puck carrier is one of the biggest things I see. Majel says, hope all is good and that you had good time watching the Super Bowl yesterday. It seemed to be really big, but I have no clue on how big it really is. You're European, so I understand. It was huge. I didn't really care about who won. I do like seeing history in sports, so seeing, as a Patriots fan, it's cool, or not cool, but it sucks to be on the other side of that now, knowing because I got to see so many Super Bowls. But what Mahomes in Kansas City is doing is like the closest. It's a dynasty now, and I think that I like seeing that stuff in sports. Although I do like seeing new champions too. But 3 and 4 that's history, especially in salary cap eras. So question: I don't know who to take as a free 93 MSP. It stands between McCabe and Sergachev or Svech. I just can't justify to take him to replace Ivo Teravainen on the 4th line. Would not do that. The replacement will be for Regeer, and my other lefties are Team of the Year and Heiskin and Rupp. Well, yeah, if you're replacing Regeer, you want to do it with McCabe. That is what I would do. Also, hockey question. Why are everyone, mostly Leaf fans, saying what Riley did was justified? It was an attempt to severely injure Grieg after a slapshot empty net goal. The only thing he hurt was Riley's feelings. The play that Riley did, very similar to the Dale Hunter situation that got a 21-game suspension. Why don't you think, I assume you don't think he deserves a 21 games based on your tweets, Riley should get similar. So, in all of my interactions with people online on Twitter about this, it was, full disclosure, I didn't play hockey until I was 20. I've been able to skate since I was basically 4 years old. My parents didn't put me in hockey. It's something that I don't regret because I have no control over, but it's a reason why I love the video game so much because I love hockey as a sport. I've been watching it since I was 5 with my dad, and I've been in love with it ever since. I didn't play again until I was 20. I'm talking like beer league, all right? So I can play hockey, but I didn't until I was much older, right? So full disclosure there. A lot of the people that I had an interaction with have never played hockey. And this might be something that is a shock to some people that have not played hockey. And I don't want to just paint a vague or a big thing, a blanket statement. But what Ridley Gregg did is an unwritten rule. And while unwritten rules are archaic and mostly dumb in a vacuum, here's the best way I can describe it because I saw this stat. In the last 32 years, there has been one time that an empty net goal has been at the result of a slap shot within 6 feet of the net. So what Greg did is something that has not been seen in 3 decades, and there is a reason for that. I spoke with another creator as well, and I this is how I described it. It is the puck chop Selly from 2 years ago. It is the middle finger, figuratively, by shooting the puck into the net. Because when that was my favorite thing, is I saw a lot of people on Twitter being like, he shot the puck into the empty net. What's he supposed to do? Tap it in? Fellas, if you can't see what winding up 5 feet away from the net is and firing it like you're Danny Heatley into the empty net when the game is over, and the difference between that and you watch any other empty net in the same situation where it's a breakaway, it's over, it's going to go in, where they just tap it in, glide it in, it's whatever, they don't celebrate. I don't know what to tell you. So, that being said, I still think what he did was hilarious and completely okay, all right? But you have to understand that that is a middle finger to the other team, and not only to the other team. These two fan bases still hate each other. A lot of you might not be old enough to remember, or maybe you aren't from Southern Ontario, but in the early 2000s, it was a revolving triangle of Ottawa, Toronto, Philadelphia. And they would literally, one would beat the other, like rock, paper, scissors in the playoffs every year. And it was fantastic. And Toronto and Ottawa fans, if you watch that game, Toronto fans travel very well to all arenas, but specifically Ottawa. I was at an Ottawa game 2 years ago. They were playing the Rangers, and a Leafs suck chant started. Like, they hate each other, but they haven't had a playoff series in 2 decades, so there's no like actual national animosity. There's no reason to really hate each other because those teams are from so far long ago. So to expect no reaction is simply dumb, silly, and to argue that is just mind-boggling to me. Now, what Morgan Riley did, not acceptable. You can't cross-check someone in the face, okay? And he, A, should be suspended, which he will, and he, B, will have to answer the bell the next time Ottawa and Toronto play, which unfortunately is not until next year, I believe. So, when the puck drops and Brady Tkachuk immediately chases him down, as he should, Morgan Riley will get his comeuppance. He will have to fight somebody on Ottawa because that is what happens in hockey. It is the thing that makes the sport the best ever. One of the reasons. The fact that you legally have to atone for a dumb action or deemed dumb by your peers, you have to legally answer the bell. It is much like, I don't want to, it's a whole other thing, but again, what Morgan Riley did, not acceptable. Cross-check the face, that's ridiculous. You should get suspended at least 6 games. I could see 10. What you're talking about, 21 games, I would go back and look at David Perron. Perfect example. It was in the David Perron situation, it was something that needed a reaction, and he went way over the top, cross-check a dude in the face. That's ridiculous. But had Morgan Riley gone up and punched him in the face or started a fight in which maybe he turtled, like Greg turtled, whatever, probably the better way to go about it. But it 1,000% deserved a reaction. And for fans to be like, that doesn't deserve a reaction, I don't know what you guys have been watching. I don't, and maybe it's just my old age showing. And in an era where 20 years ago, this stuff was common, like fights and things like that, I don't want headshots to be legal and okay. That's not what I'm saying. So that was a really long piece. I'm sorry I took up the episode, but it was such a wild thing to interact with on Twitter about, because both things can be true. Again, deserves suspension, way over the top, can't cross-check someone in the face. You also can't give the middle finger figuratively and expect no reaction. That's all. Hey, bro, I know it's been probably 6 years and hot dog... Oh, no, dude. Fellas, I also tweeted this out, man. I know the hot dog song. It's off by heart because of my little boy. That song will stick with you for your remaining years. Anyways, trying to decide between McCarr's X Factor and Champ's Seabrook version to pair with the 89 Hedman. Thoughts? Which is a better surprise tool to use later as to speak? Which will be a better pair and will have a better longevity? Appreciate the help. Also, how about this weather we've been having? It's unbelievable out in Southern Ontario. It's very warm in Canada, very rarely. But we're going to get a blizzard, I'm sure, in 5 days. Anyways, X Factor McCarr with Hedman, because Hedman is a little bit slower. You want to have that guy that can, make sure he gets back when Team of the Year McDavid comes flying down the wing. Seabrook is a great card, but I think with how hitting is and everything like that, I think that pairing Seabrook with someone like Quinn Hughes or maybe someone a little bit smaller is probably the way to go. And Seabrook will eventually be replaced by guys because progression. Like, you can always upgrade McCarr. Hey, Slaves, currently struggling with a good center core. Working towards Arnott, Gretzky, and Lemieux. Once I have them, I'll be confident in that position. My question is, should I take style icon Eichel to hold their place and then slide to 4C, or go with style icon McCabe? Free-to-play player, so trying to get the best bang for my time. Appreciate the content as always. Depends how far off you are with Gretzky and Lemieux. And in all honesty, you could go Lemieux on the wing and Eichel third-line center, or even Eichel higher. Like, I'm going to take Eichel as my free-to-play choice because I built McCabe. He's that good. McCabe will be replaced, though. There will be more. This is when master set players around this time, these are the ones that lose their value so quickly because once we get into the 94 overalls, all the stats are in the high 90s, all of them, and they will be replaced quickly. Hey, Sleeves, love the work. I have a 90 X Factor, Eichel 3 right wing right now, and 92 Fantasy Octavo. Should I take Style Icon Eichel and bench my X Factor until he gets some more upgrades, or take Style Icon's Svechnikov to replace Tavo until he gets a higher overall? Also, who would you play at center, Eichel or Team of the Year McDavid? Eichel, Team of the Year. Eichel at. God, this is tough. I think his style icon is far better than his X Factor now, simply because of the endurance thing and the fact he's got 99 draws. So even if Eichel gets up to like 94, 95, there's a realistic chance that the style icon could slightly be better. So I'd go Eichel. Bonjour, slaves. I got two quick questions. One, what controller scheme is better to use, skill stick or total control? I like total control. I think skill stick allows you to do some more deeks a little bit more easily. But here's the thing. I think they are just so invested in going arcade, it wouldn't surprise me if the skill stick is gone. Or they improve team total control. So I'm just getting used to total control. 2, I have Martin H's first line right wing. Should I play Jack Eichel style icon wing or center? I would go Eichel center for sure. What's up, Sleep? Touchy subject, but thoughts on Ice Tilt? Why is it that regardless how hard I sweat, I can't beat 14 wins in champs? But last year, for last 4 years, I could get 18 to 19 periodically. My God, you're actually pretty good then. Do I just suck now? It seems as though the games I lose, I dominate. The other guy's like the other guy with like 3 times TOA, but I still lose. So, first of all, I've talked about this quite a bit. I think the player base is the best it's ever been. And I think a lot of that has to do with a lot of the top end players streaming, as well as the Gaming World Championship streaming. Myself, other YouTubers just putting out content and how to's. Like 4 years ago in the landscape, there was very few like pro players producing content, even streaming. So you wouldn't see these like certain strategies and go-to goals everywhere because the info just wasn't as obtainable. I think everyone now knows. I don't really like posting glitch goals and tutorials on how to do those or what you would deem as glitch goals. So I try and stay away from that because I know that if I say something, a lot of people that play Hut will now know. Much like why I didn't post how to do the glitch wrap last year, even though everyone knew how to do it because it was so easy. So I think that the player base is just better. And then in terms of your wins, like I don't think Ice Tilt exists. I don't. Like I would just be so stunned at it. And for anyone, what I mean by Ice Tilt is I don't think that when you're trailing, there's sliders that go the other way for your. I just have such a hard time believing that is in the game because they can't even make the game just like play normally, like as it, you know what I mean? Like it would just seem like they would go above and beyond to make that in the game, but they can't make the game like work normally. Like that's what I'm saying. Secondly, what I think is now more than ever the way the game is played and how total controls and things like that operate is that latency is just a thing now. It's more impactful now than it ever was. And I think that if you're on PlayStation and you've got cross console turned on and you're playing Xbox people, turn that off. You are at a much bigger disadvantage when a PlayStation player goes up against an Xbox player simply because of the latency of the controller. PlayStation 5 controllers, not just on NHL, are of the worst when it comes to button latency than any other system. You combine that with servers. So now you're not only going up against players that are, 14-0, right? But now you're going up against players that are 14-0 on your server. You don't match up with everyone. You match up with who's on your server. And I don't know where you are, but if you're in Southern Ontario and you match up against Quebec players, you are at a disadvantage. You just are. Like, there's no other way to describe that. I hate using that as an excuse, but there's very few people in the player base that have ever experienced what they normally get at home and then go and play on 2ping. As you guys can see, or if you've been following me for a while, I am signed by an esports facility called District E. It's in Washington, D.C. It is right beside the Virginia server. And when I play there, I get 2 ping flatline. When I'm at home, I get 25 and it's not straight line. It's just what my connection is. And when you go up against someone in Quebec and you're there on 2 ping, like the passing, player switching, checking, like those are all inputs. And what ping will dictate, or the more ping you have, is the delay in which you make an input. So like it's just harder. Like it just is. And I think now that you'll see, and not every Quebec player is to ping. And again, I don't like using that as an excuse, but it is in the game. That is why, again, I don't mean to insult anyone from Quebec. There's so many good players there because it's such a passionate player base. I have been the voice of the Game World Championship for the last 3 seasons now. I have seen the best players in the world at every year for the last 5 years. I have called their games essentially. There is a reason why at the end of the tournament, there are very few Quebec players that can make the final stages when you get to bracket play, and that is because you play on peer-to-peer. When you go from 2 ping and an advantage to your opponent, and then go to where you're both on 30, it's a very different experience. And that's no fault of the Quebec player. They don't have a choice of that. If I could play on 2 ping, dude, I would move if I could, if it was logistically possible. So like that, it just, you know what I mean? Like I think that plays into it more than ever. I don't know about Ice Tilt. Would it surprise me if it came out and it's like, oh, there's been Ice Tilt in the game? No. But I don't know. Hey Sleeves, thanks for all the content. Watching you on stream, how you answer people's questions while playing. Big props, man. You're a legend. I am like brutal for it. I try. What I do, if you're in my streams ever, is if you type more than 1 sentence, I will literally read the first sentence and then I will guess what the rest of it says. So my apologies. I'm trying, but here is my who should you choose. 4th line is Eichel as the center, Madonna and Natchez. Which style icon do I take, and who does it bump off this line? It would be, for me, in a vacuum, trade Madonna in for whoever the other team builder is, if you've got him on your 4th line, and then take Svechnikov. So, all right, guys, that is going to do it for this episode of Who Should You Choose? I think I'm going to release a best player for each position video. I think that we've got enough players now. It can be very interesting and very difficult because there's just so many cards around the same overall. But thank you guys again for watching. I hope to see you in stream. Have a good one.